Professor Zixthala adjusted her iridescent wings as she surveyed the diverse assembly of beings in the Galactic Academy's largest amphitheater. Representatives from 47 different species had gathered for the quarterly Xenohistory Symposium. Their various forms of breathing apparatus, translation devices, and environmental suits creating a symphony of soft, mechanical hums. Today's lecture focuses on ancient warfare methodologies, she announced, her voice carrying through the Universal Translator Network. We'll examine how primitive civilizations resolved territorial disputes before achieving spaceflight capability. The Krelian ambassador, his crystalline form refracting the chamber's soft lighting, raised a tendril. Professor, surely most species moved beyond physical violence once they developed basic technology. Zixthala's mandibles clicked in agreement. Indeed, Ambassador Veltar, the Zephyrian Collective, for instance, transcended warfare after discovering quantum meditation in their Bronze Age equivalent. The mollusk hegemony achieved perfect pacifism through spore-based consensus building. Murmurs of approval rippled through the audience. The ethereal delegates' gaseous form pulsed with contentment, while the machine race representatives' optical sensors flickered in algorithmic satisfaction. Which brings us to an interesting case study, Zixthala continued, gesturing to the back of the amphitheater. Today we have Professor Sarah Chen from the recently contacted human species. She's volunteered to discuss her people's unique historical perspective. A small bipedal figure stood up, unremarkable compared to the exotic beings surrounding her. Sarah Chen appeared almost primitive. No natural armor, no obvious sensory enhancements, no visible technological integration. She walked to the podium with an odd confidence that made several delegates unconsciously shift in their seats. "Thank you, Professor Zixthala," Sarah said, her voice calm and measured. "I appreciate the opportunity to share humanity's experience with ancient conflict resolution." She activated a holographic display showing a blue-green planet rotating slowly in the chamber's center. "This is Earth, my homeworld. Like many species here, we experienced territorial disputes throughout our development. However, our approach may differ from what you've heard today." The display zoomed in, revealing land masses marked with shifting boundaries and color-coded regions. Dates flashed by: 3000 BCE, 1000 BCE, 0 CE, 1000 CE. The professor mentioned that most species transcended warfare early in their technological development. Humans did not. An uncomfortable silence settled over the amphitheater. The mollusk hegemony representative's tentacles curled inward defensively. "We fought," Sarah continued matter-of-factly. "We fought over water rights, over fertile land, over trade routes, over religious differences, over political ideologies, over resources we thought were scarce. We fought with sticks, then bronze, then iron, then steel." The hologram shifted, showing armies clashing across ancient battlefields. The assembled delegates watched in fascination and growing horror as the primitive humans wielded crude weapons against each other. "By your standards, this should have ended our species. No civilization, you might think, could survive such sustained conflict." Sarah paused, her eyes scanning the audience. But here's what happened instead. The display accelerated through human history, Roman legions, medieval knights, gunpowder warfare, industrial conflicts. Each era showed increasingly sophisticated military technology developing alongside art, science, and culture. Every conflict taught us something: logistics, metallurgy, medicine, engineering, communication, organization. Warfare pushed us to innovate in ways that peace might not have demanded. Ambassador Veltar's crystalline structure resonated with distress. Surely the cost was prohibitive? The casualties, the resources wasted? Sarah nodded grimly. The cost was enormous. We lost billions. We scarred our planet. We nearly destroyed ourselves multiple times. She gestured, and the hologram showed mushroom clouds rising over cities. This is what we call the nuclear age. We literally harnessed stellar fire as a weapon. Gasps and mechanical alarm sounds echoed through the chamber. The ethereal delegate's form contracted in apparent shock. But, Sarah continued, we didn't destroy ourselves. We learned restraint through necessity. We developed international law, peace treaties, deterrence theory. Most importantly, we learned that our greatest enemy wasn't each other. It was ignorance, scarcity, and the limitations of our world. The hologram shifted to show rockets launching, space stations being constructed, and humans taking their first steps on other worlds. When we finally reached for the stars, we did so as a species that had tested every possible form of conflict and survival. We knew how to fight, yes, but more importantly, we knew when to fight, how to end fights, and how to prevent them. She looked directly at the Krelian ambassador. You asked if species move beyond violence after developing technology. We moved beyond unnecessary violence, but we never forgot how to defend what matters. The display changed one final time, showing modern human space fleets, sleek vessels that somehow managed to look both beautiful and formidable. When the devourers attacked the Centauri colonies last year, Sarah said quietly, and when they ignored all diplomatic solutions, the other species called for evacuation and strategic withdrawal. She paused. Humans called for war. The chamber fell absolutely silent. Every being present remembered the devourer crisis, a seemingly unstoppable force that had consumed 3-star systems before suddenly, inexplicably, retreating. The devourers had never encountered a species that chose to fight extinction rather than accept it. They had never faced beings who had spent millennia learning that sometimes violence is the only language that genocidal monsters understand. Sarah touched the podium's control surface, and a small object materialized in the holographic display, a piece of dark fabric marked with a rust-colored stain. This is from the uniform of Captain Maria Santos, who died ramming her ship into a devourer mothership above Proxima Colony. She saved 40,000 civilians with that action. Sarah's voice remained steady, but something in her eyes had changed. The stain is her blood. We keep relics like this to remember that peace is not the absence of conflict. It's the presence of those willing to fight for it. The silence stretched unbearably long. Finally, the machine race representative's optical array focused on Sarah with new intensity. Your species, it said in its artificial voice, fascinates and terrifies us in equal measure. Sarah smiled, and for a moment, every predator instinct that evolution had gifted to the various species in the room recognized something ancient and dangerous in that expression. That, she said, is probably the nicest thing anyone's ever said about humanity. As she returned to her seat, not a single being in the amphitheater doubted that the small, unassuming humans would be very good neighbors and very dangerous enemies. Professor Zixthala cleared her throat, her voice slightly unsteady. I believe we'll end today's lecture here. There will be no questions. Nobody argued.